The 2024 MLB season is finally here, and I am here to give you my standings, awards, and playoff predictions for the 2024 season. So without further ado, let's start in the NL West. In last, by no surprise, is the Colorado Rockies. This team is going through one of their worst stretches in franchise history, but hopefully guys like Nolan Jones and Chris Bryant will be able to put together solid seasons for them. In fourth place is the San Diego Padres. This team could be a second place team in the Central, but unfortunately they're in the stacked West. Losing Snell, Soto, and Hader will be tough for them, but they did make some sneaky good moves this offseason, and they could be a surprise team this year. In third place, I got the Arizona Diamondbacks. This team did improve, adding Eugenio Suarez, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Jock Peterson, but the Giants did a little bit more, but I do like the Diamondbacks to sneak in and snag that final wildcard spot. In second place is the San Francisco Giants, and man oh man did this team improve. They added Jung-Ho Lee, Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, Jorge Soler, Jordan Hicks, and also traded for former Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray. With a mix of young and veteran guys along with Logan Webb and Blake Snell at the top two, this team will definitely be in the playoffs. And by no surprise, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers in first. This team added Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, and Teoscar Hernandez by what considered to be maybe the best offseason of all time. I think they'll win this division pretty handily and make a deep playoff run this year. Moving over to the NL Central. In fifth place, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates, but this team's going to be a lot more respectable. They went out and signed Aroldis Chapman, Rowdy Tellez, Yasmani Grandal, and Michael A. Taylor. I think this is a team that you shouldn't overlook on your schedule. In fourth place is the St. Louis Cardinals. They did do a lot to improve, adding Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, and Kyle Gibson, but unfortunately, this team is very old. Arenado and Goldschmidt have a lot of weight to carry on their shoulders, ultimately having them finish in fourth place. In third place, I got the Milwaukee Brewers, but this team will definitely be taking a step back this year. They did sign Rhys Hoskins, but they did lose Corbin Burns, who was their best pitcher these last couple years. But Milwaukee is hoping for second overall prospect in baseball, Jackson Trio, to step up for them this year. In second place, I got the Cincinnati Reds, and I originally had this team in first place. Between all the injuries in spring training and losing Matt McClain to potentially the whole entire year, I think it'll be tough for them, but I do see the Reds still putting together a solid season. And then in first place, with new manager Craig Counsell, I have the Chicago Cubs. I think with the way things finished out last year and also adding Craig Counsell to what they already have, I think they'll be able to win the NL Central this year and make a playoff push. Moving over to the National League East. In last place, I have the Washington Nationals. This team is still very young. Washington is excited for another year of CJ Abrams to develop. They did sign Jesse Winker and Joey Gallo this offseason, so it will be interesting to see how they do this year. In fourth place, it's the Miami Marlins. This team did make it to the playoffs last year, and they did add Tim Anderson, but ultimately, I'm not sure how they'll do this entire season, and the news of Yuri Perez is a little bit scary. Third place is the New York Mets. This team definitely took a step back last year, losing Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. They did add Harrison Bader and JD Martinez, so overall, I like them to improve a little bit into the win column. In second place, I got the Philadelphia Phillies, and I got them also snagging the first wildcard spot. They're pretty much running it back with the same squad that they did the last two seasons. They brought in Whit Merrifield, re-signed Aaron Nola, and also extended Zach Wheeler, so don't be surprised if they make a deep postseason run this year. And by no surprise, I have the Atlanta Braves finishing in first. This team is probably one of the most complete teams comparing to the Dodgers in the National League. Spencer Strider is going to dominate for them in the starting rotation, and their offense is elite. On to the American League West. In last place, it's the Oakland Athletics. This team finished 50 and 112 last year, and they didn't really do much to improve, so not much changes for them. In fourth place, I got the Los Angeles Angels. This team lost arguably the best player in the sport in Shohei Ohtani. In addition, the team didn't really do much to improve, but they do have a youth movement of Ohapi, Moniak, and Neto on the offensive side, so expect growing pains from them in the fourth place spot. In third place, I got the Seattle Mariners. This team didn't really do much outside of adding Mitch Garver and Jorge Polanco while losing Jared Kelnick and Eugenio Suarez. In the starting rotation, expect great things from Castillo and Kirby, but otherwise, I don't really see this team going much higher than third. In second place, I got the reigning World Series champion Texas Rangers. Most of the team is returning outside of Jordan Montgomery, who is currently a free agent. They got top prospects Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford, who will look to be a big contribution to their outfield. But ultimately, I see a great year coming for the Houston Astros as they take the American League West. They signed Josh Hader while also making Yanier Diaz the full-time catcher. Adding an elite bullpen on top of a great offense and a great starting rotation, I think the Astros will win the division. Shifting over to the American League Central. In last place, I got the Chicago White Sox. This team lost Tim Anderson and Dylan Cease in the offseason. They didn't really add much on either side of the ball, so it'll definitely be interesting, and the starting rotation will be a little weak with Garrett Crochet being the number one. In fourth place, I got the Kansas City Royals, and I could see this team being the most improved team team in all of baseball, even though they're finishing in 4th. They added Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo to pair with Cole Reagans. It could be a sneaky good rotation with Bobby Witt being the centerpiece on offense. In 3rd place, I got the Cleveland Guardians in the post-Terry Francona era. This team didn't do much this offseason, but that's the typical Cleveland way. They got Shane Bieber along with Tristan McKenzie and Tanner Bybee in the rotation, so expect the pitching to be the backbone for them. In 2nd place, I got the Detroit Tigers, and I think this is the year that they finally get above 500. Tarek Skubal is one of the best pitchers in the American League and could definitely be a Cy Young candidate for them, but things are definitely improving in Detroit. And in 1st place, I got the Minnesota Twins. I think this team is probably the strongest team of the division. Most of the team is the same outside of Jorge Polanco and Sonny Gray leaving, but I do see Royce Lewis becoming the best player on the Twins as they win their 2nd straight division. And finally, the American League East. In last place for the 3rd consecutive year, I have the Boston Red Sox. They play in the toughest division in all of baseball, and losing Lucas Giolito will be tough for them, so I have them finishing in last. In 4th place, I have the Tampa Bay Rays, and this team somehow manages to prove everyone wrong each year. They did lose Tyler Glasnow, while half of their starting rotation is out with injury, and the news of Wander Franco not being with them makes me have them in 4th place. In 3rd place, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. This team didn't really do much outside of bringing in Justin Turner and letting go of Matt Chapman. I think it'll be a pretty similar year to what they had last year, but unfortunately, I don't have them making the playoffs. In 2nd place, I have the New York Yankees. This team added Juan Soto and Marcus Stroman to the team, and they do have Carlos Rodon, who they're banking on having a good season. Unfortunately, Garrett Cole is out for the first 10 to 12 weeks of the season, but I do see Soto and Judge leading this team to a wildcard spot. And in 1st place, I have the Baltimore Orioles. This team added Corbin Burns, while they're also looking to bring up more top 100 prospects like Jackson Holliday. I think another full season of this team will help them out even more in the playoffs. Even though I don't have them winning as much games as last year, I think they'll make a farther run in the playoffs. Moving over to the awards. In the National League, I have Mookie Betts of the LA Dodgers taking the National League MVP award. And then in the American League, I have Juan Soto of the New York Yankees taking the AL MVP award. The NL Cy Young will be Spencer Strider of the Atlanta Braves, and the American League Cy Young will be George Kirby of the Seattle Mariners. The National League Rookie of the Year will be Jackson Chourio of the Milwaukee Brewers, and the American League MVP will be Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers. Bob Melvin of the San Francisco Giants will win NL Manager of the Year, and in the American League, Scott Service of the Seattle Mariners will win American League Manager of the Year. Now moving over to the playoffs. In the American League, the Orioles are number 1, the Astros are number 2, the Twins are number 3, the Rangers are number 4, the Yankees are number 5, and the 6th seed is the Seattle Mariners. In the National League, the Atlanta Braves are number 1, the Dodgers are number 2, the Cubs are number 3, the Phillies are number 4, the Giants are number 5, and the Diamondbacks are number 6. In the wildcard games, I have the Yankees moving on versus the Rangers and the Mariners moving on versus the Twins. In the National League, I have the Phillies beating the Giants and the Cubs beating the Diamondbacks. In the Division Series, I have the Orioles beating the Yankees and I have the Astros beating the Mariners. In the National League for the 3rd consecutive year, I have the Phillies beating the Braves and I have the Dodgers beating the Cubs. In the ALCS, I have the Astros beating the Orioles. In the National League, I have the Phillies beating the Dodgers, which means it'll be the Philadelphia Phillies versus the Houston Astros in the 2024 World Series. In 6 games, I have the Philadelphia Phillies beating the Houston Astros in the 2024 World Series, which was a rematch of the 2022. They finally get their revenge on the Astros, and Bryce Harper is finally a champion. For more baseball content like this, you can check out my Instagram at StrikeZone Media or my TikTok at StrikeZone Media _. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe here on YouTube, but as always, have a good one.